Hey guys, it's Shnickerman here back with another video. And due to the extreme success of the last video, which I had 10 games that you should buy on Xbox 360 right now before the Xbox Series X, we're going to do a part 2 this time. We're going to look at 5 different games on the Xbox 360 that are backwards compatible. And I'm going to show some gameplay and tell you things about each game. So the first one is the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which has Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. It actually comes on 2 discs. Peace Walker's on 1 disc, and Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are on the other discs. So like Peace Walker has 1,000 gamer score, and the other 2 games combined have 1,000 gamer score. And Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are really classic games, and Peace Walker is a bit of a hidden gem. It was only on PSP previously to this, so it's a little bit difficult to play with the kind of weird PSP controls, but I will say playing it on the 360 it's pretty nice, and it's pretty easy and straightforward. So I'll show a little footage here. Just expect with Peace Walker that it's a little bit different than the other ones. It's kind of like a mash between a simulation game. There's specific missions that have different tasks that you'll have to do. So maybe you can't kill anybody, maybe you have to rescue a certain amount of people, maybe you just have to defeat a giant tank. And then when you go back to the main menu, you can send soldiers out to do different missions, which might give you R&D upgrades, which will give you better weapons for your future missions. It's really, really interesting. I'll put some footage here, but definitely check this collection out. And this collection isn't too expensive either, and it's kind of 3 games for 1 if you think about that. The next one, I've seen this one around a bit, and I remember when it came out, I saw a trailer for it in E3 or something, and it looked really cool. This is the Bureau XCOM Declassified. So if anyone's familiar with XCOM Enemy Unknown, you know that it's basically like a strategy game, kind of a strategy RPG turn-based game where you have to be really selective. So this is basically like a third-person shooter where you can play it just as a third-person shooter and a cover shooter, or you get different teammates that work with you, and you can click B and you can kind of tell them where to go and what abilities to use. So it kind of is a mashup of classic XCOM and a third-person shooter. It's pretty interesting though, and visually I believe some of the same people who were involved in Bioshock, or at least Bioshock 2, were involved in this. And it kind of shows you're in 1962 and there's a bunch of aliens that are invading, so you're trying to figure things out. And it's a pretty cool aesthetic overall, and a pretty interesting game. I would say definitely check it out. The next one right here, Enslaved Odyssey to the West. This one does show up on some hidden gems game lists. I don't really know much to say about it. It's by Bandai Namco, and essentially you have 2 main characters, and the idea is that you are linked together by, I believe it's like a collar, so you have to stay close to your partner, and she helps you out like by opening or like putting down ladders or opening different things so then you can pass through. So it has that kind of gameplay style. But it also has a pretty interesting combat system that you can upgrade along the way. And it is based off of Journey to the West, or Sun Wukong. So the main character, even though he's human, he has like this little tassel that looks like a tail when you're moving around. He has a giant cudgel, etc. And so this game does take place in a post-apocalyptic world. So what is interesting about the story is that they'll give flashbacks to kind of like current day, which would be now for us. That was the past for them, and you can kind of see what happened to bring them into this post-apocalyptic world. So pretty interesting game, action and adventure / RPG. So the next 2 are probably my biggest hidden gems, I would say. These games really surprised me, so you may see the titles and be like, what is he talking about? They're both licensed games. So the first one is Toy Story 3 on the Xbox 360. Backwards compatible. This game is really interesting, and as I was capturing footage, I pretty much beat the entire game. The story of this game loosely follows the story of Toy Story 3. I think there's about 8 different missions. Each one can take you about half an hour to 40 minutes to complete. But there's lots of different collectibles within the levels that adds replayability. And there's also a kind of a toy box mode. So if anyone's familiar with Disney Infinity or something like that, essentially you have like this town and you basically upgrade it over time and you get coins and you buy new buildings that do different things. You get missions from different people like Zurg or just Ham or Rex from Toy Story, and they'll give you different things to do and you unlock different areas. So it does remind me a bit of things like Banjo-Kazooie and older games like that, where you kind of can explore a big area and then eventually gain access to other parts of the area. And the missions itself in this game can like span platforming to just beat 'em up to vehicles to puzzle game. Like, it really encompasses a lot of different stuff, and that's what impressed me the most about it. It wasn't just one generic game. It's kind of a lot of games melded into one. So I would highly recommend Toy Story 3 if you have an open mind and you want to check out a game that's a bit different than others. Another one that really impressed me was Peter Jackson's King Kong. So if anyone remembers, from 2005, there was this Peter Jackson King Kong movie. It was about 3 hours long. This game pretty much just walks you through the movie. I think loosely, I'm not sure 100% because I haven't watched the movie in a while and I didn't play through the entire game. But essentially you play as Adrian Brody's character and you go through the game and you're basically fighting a bunch of different creatures. I'll have some gameplay here. Anything from like dinosaurs to giant bugs to all different kinds of stuff. And it is a fairly early 360 game, so some of the stuff you can do is pretty limited. But the gameplay is super interesting, and honestly, it plays almost like a survival horror game rather than just a generic shooter game. It's always dark, you have like a low amount of ammo, at least for the part that I played. You're always trying to be tactical and do specific things. It got a little bit repetitive towards the middle, but it's interesting. And the last thing I wanted to mention is there's only 8 achievements in the game, and you can get them all through just playing the story. So for you achievement hunters out there, this is a pretty easy 1,000 gamer score if you want. But I would highly recommend picking up this King Kong game. It really surprised me, and I really enjoy it. I'm definitely going to go back and complete the whole game. So guys, that was 5 more games that you can buy for Xbox 360 that will be backwards compatible on the Xbox Series X. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Part 1 did extremely well. If there's any more hidden gems / games that you think would be really cool to play on the Xbox Series X for the 360, please leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video even a little bit, please leave a like on the video. It really does help out a lot in getting YouTube's algorithm in order to recommend this video to others. And if there's any other types of videos that you want to see about retro gaming or anything gaming related, please let me know in the comments, and I'll look into maybe making a video about it. Until next time, guys, peace out.